So welcome to the Diversity Dialog. With me, I have Lori Cornmesser, ex-colleague, a longtime friend, currently VP at Worldwide Channel Sales at Psychognito. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you. Great to see you.
And the most important reason she's here because she's a huge diversity champion and is going to be a co-host of mine for many of the episodes going forward. So that's your claim to fame for today.
Well, thank you.
So let's talk about something, I mean, your own journey. I know you're a huge diversity champion and advocate yourself, right? But talk a little bit about your own learnings, the stories that you have to tell that others can learn from.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a big question. And, you always kind of go back to your why. I always say diversity kind of chose me. I didn't choose it, right? I grew up as a biracial person in the Valley. My parents, my mother is African-American. My father is German, Cornmesser. And I grew up in Monterey Bay. And so my lens was always different. Growing up in IT, I didn't see a lot of females. I didn't see a lot of minorities, people that I could really replicate after. But I was lucky enough to have a lot of sponsors and mentors that welcomed my differences and allowed me a voice at the table. And so what I learned was that being able to welcome people to the table and making them feel good about their contributions, making them feel like they belong is probably the most important thing that we can do, right? As humans, there's a big human connection to this whole diversity piece.
Yeah, and it's so true. I mean, I think that belonging is such a powerful thing, right? Once people feel they are accepted and welcomed, I think everything else can be dealt with.
Yeah, agreed.
So one, again, given your own career path and the fact that you've been not only championing diversity, you've actually been seeing it being enforced as well as accepted and moved forward in enterprises. So what has your learnings been over the last, let's say, the 10 to 15 years? How has this evolved from a hey, checkbox item to are we beyond that? And then next question is going to be, where do we go from here?
Yeah, so I would say diversity now is a must-have. It's not a nice to have. And it goes beyond just checking a box of, do we have the right people in the right sort of shapes and forms and colors and all of those kinds of things. It's more about exactly what we talked about. Are people feeling like they're inclusive? Do they have a seat at the table? Are their voices heard? Are their feelings validated? And we have gone through so much in the past couple of years of just recognizing that we can do better in this space. And so part of what I always did and what was done, I'm in a conference room with people. Is there anything that you can add? But also look at the minorities in the room, right? Ashwin, do you have anything else to add to the table? I know you're new. Do you want to do that now, or can we follow up later to have that discussion? Making sure that their voices are heard and that somebody recognizes them that is in a position to do that. And so as you become a leader, there's a sense of responsibility about making sure that all the voices from around the table are heard. And that was just one simple thing I always do, and I still do when I'm in meetings and I'm in a position where I can sort of offer that as the temperature and the environment in the room.
So taking the lens going forward, right? I know, like you said, I mean, people listening, watching, and there's obviously one of the biggest roles that is getting a lot of prominence for the right reasons is Chief Diversity Officer. However, again, given what you're seeing right now, I mean, he or she may have the budget, they may have the backing of the board, and they're obviously in it because they want to be in it, going back to the why. But the broader organization, whether it comes to training new managers, existing managers, forgetting about biases, hiring qualifications. I mean, there are lots of unlearning that needs to happen. So who in your mind, I mean, can be an ally for the CDO, and how does transformation eventually become deep-rooted?
Yeah, so I think what you're seeing now is a lot of companies are now putting these metrics on their leadership team. It's not, so before diversity was, here are the metrics, the HR organization, the head of diversity had metrics to hire certain people, to recruit, to retain. And now CEOs and responsible owners are saying, no, we all hold this metric. So there's now a metric that's tied to the CISO, that's tied to the head of HR, that's tied to marketing, that's tied to sales. And their bonuses are tied to that, right? I mean, you're starting to see like the metrics are more meaningful because people are being accountable to the personal impact that they can create in that overall story. And that is a big shift. That's a big shift.
And then one final question, again, we're probably going to live in this hybrid world forever, right? Even companies that claim they're going to go in person now. So again, I mean, who in your mind needs to be the champion for, hey, you have few people in the office, socially distanced, wearing masks, people all over the world joining in via Zoom, so hallway conversations. I mean, how do you again foster the sense of inclusiveness and belonging in this hybrid environment?
Yeah, so I think exactly the type of stuff that you're doing. Let's get people together, let's share experiences, because the more we share people's stories, the more that we talk about their journeys, the more that we learn from those things, the more that we can talk about the personal impact. There's a company responsibility, and then there's a personal impact that you have. What are the 2 or 3 things that I can do? Well, I can make sure that I'm being inclusive in the meetings that I have. I can become part of the employee resource groups, right? I started a lot of the Black ERG, pieces at prior companies. I'm starting that again. And that's a very inclusive piece, right? How can I create a women's network? How can I get more involved in those things? And again, share stories, things like you're doing here, bringing people together to just learn from experiences, right? It's that human interaction and shared stories where we actually realize that we're not so different. we all have interest in what we want to do in our careers. We all have family concerns. We all have concerns about COVID. We all want to be validated for the work that we do and the contribution that we have. That's a shared experience that we all have. We come at it differently for sure, but we all are very common. And so to me, it's about learning what we have in common, understanding and appreciate what we have that is different and unique. And for that, being able to say, now I have personal responsibility about the things that make me unique and different, and allowing the company to understand that's what I kind of bring to the table is because I'm unique and different.
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna have some amazing conversation. I can already feel it, right? You and I with the amazing leaders that we already have lined up. So again, thanks for joining me, not just today, but co-hosting the series going forward. Thanks, Lori.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Thank you for doing this. This is a really responsible thing to do, and I'm really proud of your organization for stepping into this so boldly. So thank you.
Thanks, Lori.